Welcome to the Light at the End of the Funnel podcast with your host, Danielle Fitzpatrick-Clark, #1 best-selling author, speaker, and dream client attraction specialist. Real conversations for real results. Here, entrepreneurs and small business owners share what happens on the journey to success, the nitty-gritty, the highs and lows, the ahas that brought them to the light at the end of the funnel. Now, here's Danielle.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Light at the End of the Funnel. I am your host and producer, Danielle Fitzpatrick-Clark, #1 best-selling author. And I have a wonderful, wonderful guest for you. I'm really excited to have Jennifer Dunham on today. Is that Dunham or Dunham?
Dunham. Mm-hmm.
Dunham. Okay, so I said it right.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I said it really fast, and I'm like, if I'm not right, it'll be close enough. So Jennifer is a time, money, and happiness expert and founder of Happiness Matters, and she helps driven professionals learn how to not only love their success and career, but also fully love their lives. Happiness plays a huge role in your health and wealth, and so does time and money, which is really a wonderful topic for today. So I'm really excited to learn more about you, Jen. And is it Jen? Can I call you Jen? Or
Yep,
Jen?
I go by Jen. Yep,
you go by
perfect.
Jen. Okay, great.
Yep.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your background?
Sure.
You have an amazing resume and bio, and I want to make sure that we do it justice by having you tell us more.
Sure. Yeah. No. So I am a computer science and mathematics geek. And so my background and what I do with my business coaching is rooted in information technology. Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge believer in the process of learning what you can automate, how to make things repeatable, how to streamline, your tasks and your habits so that you can actually reduce that overwhelm and focus on what really matters. Yeah. And, I didn't invent this statement by any means, but I always tell my clients that structure equals freedom. Mm-hmm. And it's funny that some people have a little bit of a, resistance to habits. Like they have the resistance to having a regular routine. Sometimes that seems very boring, or seems like sometimes even that seems like too much work. But when you take the leap of faith that putting together more structure in your business will actually pay you dividends so much longer. It is amazing. And so my programs are all designed around that in mind. And I actually have I have a couple formulas. I have a couple, they're all, that mathematic geeky girl coming out in me. Yeah. But, I use that to help my clients really analyze what they're doing and where they want to go.
Awesome. Well, mm-hmm. And I love that you spoke to the fact that people are so resistant to habits. Mm-hmm. And I find that whatever we're really resistant to is something we absolutely need to take a second look at.
Right? Yeah. And, it's like I share with people, it's like when people tend to be, human nature, we like our creatures of habit, right? Mm-hmm. And so when we get out of a routine, what I kind of share with people is when, for example, you normally have probably a morning routine, mm-hmm. and especially if you're going into an office, mm-hmm. and if you all of a sudden get something that disrupts that routine, that kind of throws you out of whack as far as how you turn things off, power down, the idea of women anyways, curling irons and coffee pots and walking out the door. I can't tell you how many times that I have had to turn around, drive back to see if I turned to close the garage door. Yeah. Because I feel like, did I really do that today? And because something threw me off and I wasn't in my normal routine. Yeah. And the one thing that people don't realize is we repeat the statistical average, which I don't know if it's gone up or down, but mm-hmm. A recent statistical average is that we repeat 40% of what we do every day. 40%.
Wow.
And
that's a lot.
Yeah. So that's and the reason that I know we're kind of probably jumping ahead of everything, but the reason that habits are so fantastic is it takes the decision power away from what you have to do. Yeah. You just do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. So yeah. I know we're going to jump in. You've got a great story too, but I since we're here, mentioned it, that piece that you said, sometimes we get bored. And I have to say that has come up for me several times where I'm like, I want to do something different today because I feel bored. Mm-hmm. What is that about, do you think?
Well, some people like more things that are like that are changing more often. And
Uh-huh.
it's I don't know, have you ever read much from Gretchen Rubin? She's the author of The Happiness Project.
Yep.
So she's got her tendency quiz, which is which habit tendency are you?
Mm-hmm.
And some people like myself, I was sharing with you earlier that I don't like to say no to people. I'm an obliger.
Yeah.
So, but there's some people that need more change. And, one of the things that I created, my own habit strategy course because of the fact that I have so many clients that they're just like you're mentioning is, what sticks for one person doesn't always stick for another.
Yeah.
And so you have to really understand yourself on how to create a habit. Now, I think there's some secret sauce to creating a habit, and I'm a certified tiny habit coach, and and the concept of tiny habits is brilliant.
Yeah.
And of course, like I said, I can't lay claim to that either. Dr. BJ Fogg from Stanford University, created this program, but you can still use that same methodology and that same formation of tiny habits and leverage it for your unique way that you have to build habits. Yeah. So for you, you might need to incorporate a little more changes into your habit, into your routine in order to not get bored.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Because, as in the entrepreneurial journey, as things get a little bit easier and you get into more of that habit, like, I have a very structured day. I have a to-do list, and I know how long I'm going to spend on marketing. I know how long I'm going to spend on sales. I know how long I'm going to spend with clients. But then I get done and I'm like, okay, what now? And then I'm like, I can change up my day a little bit based on the fact that my to-do lists are done. So it's like I structure some parts, but then there's time left over. And for me, I like to fill that time if my kids aren't around.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you can have it's almost like an unstructured, structured time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I like that.
So it's important to put that in your day for you and for your personality type. That's important for you to put that into your day.
Yeah. It's probably that creativity side. I know a lot of people that a lot of the audience members are very creative people. So it's probably just putting in like creativity, time for creativity, whether that's writing, reading, painting.
That's right. Yeah. And that's the one thing that, in fact, I'm going live on my Facebook Live later today about kind of like the one hidden gem in your 24-hour clock is in order to actually kind of fabricate more time. You can't really fabricate time, but it feels like it when people allow themselves. I'm going to be specifically talking about a morning routine, but having that self-time is so huge to actually being more productive. Yeah. And so putting that on your calendar and actually scheduling a block of time just for you is huge. And there's so many people that's the first thing that goes to the wayside.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yep. Especially for entrepreneurs in those first couple of years. So we have a lot to talk about. So we're gonna switch gears. I know I could probably talk to you for like 2 hours, but I want to be mindful of the time too. You have a wonderful entrepreneurial story that starts at a chicken farm.
Yeah. Well, actually, it starts quite a bit before that. Okay. Yeah. So, so what happened was, let me see if I can get the order of this correctly. I went to my doctor's office and I had walked in and, someone had noticed a spot on my back that had been growing bigger and bigger and thought, you should get that checked. And I walked in and this first time I'd been to this dermatologist and, they looked at it and he said, if I had my operating room ready, I would take you in there right now. Wow. And it completely freaked me out. Here I am thinking I'm going to go in for, this is nothing. And so, I had to wait because they didn't have their operating room ready. And they ended up doing a biopsy and it was melanoma. And they didn't get enough. And so, it was several. I'd never had stitches in my life. And that summer, I can't tell you how many stitches I ended up with. But so I was diagnosed with cancer. All at the same time, I had been going through counseling sessions with my first husband, and I didn't want this to be the reason that we stayed together.
Yeah.
And so I'm going through a divorce at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The end result was I was going through a divorce, and a big reason for that was working too much and arguing all the time, and just that the trials and tribulations of an entrepreneur in a relationship with someone who wants to have more of your time. And then I was also healing from my procedure with all my stitches, and was hit by a high-speed drunk driver.
Oh, wow.
So this all happened in a span of 3 months, and I call that my bad summer. Wow. And when I share that story, people always think, well, you must have completely changed your life. Well, I did end up still getting my divorce, and I did change some things, but I share with people that I call those lightning bolt moments. Like those, they wake you up. They fry your hair for a minute, and but then we kind of go back to our old ways. Like there wasn't something in the process wasn't right for me. Yep. So, fast forward another couple years, and I met my now husband, and, he's an entrepreneur as well. He encouraged me, at the time. This is when instead of being an employee, started up my own IT consulting firm. Mm-hmm. So I have an IT consulting firm, and fast forward a few more years, and I created my own photography studio. Wow. And so I have that business as well. And fast forward a few more years, and I'm back where I started, that bad summer, when I'm probably on the edge of another divorce. Like we're arguing, we're not happy, together. We're not happy in the home. My husband didn't like where we lived. And, we were having this conversation sitting outside of our home about, he wanted to move. He wanted to be out in the middle of nature. He wanted some property. And we were talking about where are we going to move when we retire? And the honesty factor was we're not going to move anytime soon, because we both have, I have clients that are state of California. My husband has the school system here in California that is part of his consulting firm. And we're not going to be, quote, retiring anytime soon as an entrepreneur. So I said, and we were having this really serious conversation, trying to have this conversation. We were sitting outside of our home, and I remember this like clear as day. Our neighbors, we lived in suburbia. My husband calls it suburbia hell, where there's the houses that are 5 feet apart.
Yes.
And, our neighbors' dogs barked nonstop. Whenever we were outside, they barked nonstop. There was no control of it. And we were having this serious conversation about what are we going to do? And the dogs are barking, the dogs are barking, the dogs are barking. My husband's like, F this. And he just stomped inside, slammed the door. And I sat there and I thought, I can't keep doing this. Like, I'm not going through another divorce. And so I walked in and I said, why are we waiting? Like, let's move. Let's find something. Let's lateral out of this place. Let's move. And 7 days later, we found the home of our dreams. And within 30 days, we moved out to this 5-acre chicken farm. And it's funny how you put something out there into the universe and all of a sudden it appears. And so we moved out here, and then all of a sudden, all my friends and family were like, Jen, oh my gosh, what's wrong? And I'm like, what do you mean what's wrong? And they're like, you're so much happier. And I know I share this and I joke, but they always, and this is a serious thing. They were like, what are you growing on your farm?
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, nothing. I'm growing a garden with herbs and vegetables, and anyway, but
the smell is just sage, guys.
Right?
It's just sage.
So I sat outside with my chickens, drinking of course my coffee with my chickens. And I thought, why is my businesses seem different now? Why am I more focused? Why am I more productive? Why am I happier? And again, that computer science person in me was like, how can I make this repeatable? So I ended up coming up with a formula called my profitable lifestyle formula. And it didn't start out that way because I was so Happiness Matters, the name of the company, was born. But the reality of this formula is that happiness is just one component. The idea of time, money, and happiness matters, and how they, mesh together and how they blend together is something that is a reality. Like you can't, while people would like to think that happiness can't be bought, they're fooling themselves if they really think that, because when you don't have money, you are not happy. You know, you are stressed out about not paying your bills. You're stressed out about not paying your employees. You're stressed out, you know, in your relationship. You argue, you fight. I mean, the reality is that, you know, happiness needs money.
Yeah.
That's the bare bottom line. Now, you may not need a lot, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if you have none, or if you're stressed about it, you will not be happy.
Yeah.
And the part about the time comes in is when I created this profitable lifestyle formula. The one thing that people do have control over is their money. They can make more. The one thing they do have control over is their happiness. They can be happier, but they don't control how much time they have. Everyone has the same 24 hours in the day, the same 52 weeks in a year. And that's the only piece that is the constant factor, that unless you use it, what I say is wisest, you have to use your time, the wisest. That's the piece that you can't change. And so when I start working with my clients, we start on the time component, because most people aren't using their time most efficiently, which affects how you focus on the tasks that make money. And if you can't focus on the tasks that make money, then you're affecting your happiness.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's where the habits come back in. As I sat outside, and when I came up with this formula, I realized it's the consistency. It was the daily consistency of that little tiny break in my day of having coffee with my chickens. And that's what I say, is I learned more about really living and loving my life with drinking coffee with my chickens than I ever did with that bad summer.
Oh,
because it's the consistency.
I love that you do that with the chickens.
Yeah. It's the consistency of action. And I share this a lot too, is it's the consistency of imperfect action. You know, because if you wait for perfection, you're going to be waiting a very long time.
That's a good point. So all of this, I'm so glad that you're touching upon consistency. That's something that I find can be a struggle for entrepreneurs, especially when it comes to marketing and sales. Like, we'll keep ourselves busy in everything else. Like, oh, I have to put up a new sales page. I have to do a new webinar. I have to do tech. I have to learn this platform and this platform and this platform. And what I find, I'm like, well, what about your sales process? Who are you talking to this week to make sales? And like, oh, I don't have anyone in the books. I'm like, do you have a marketing plan in place? No, I don't. I just, I'm waiting for people to come to me. It's like, oh, okay. So,
yeah. And, it's funny. I just co-hosted a big training last night, a webinar with Catherine Calhoun. She's my partner in crime when I did my giveaway last year. And we were talking about this last night, that one of the biggest things that you have to do is you have to get out there. You will not make money if you do not put yourself out there. And, you put yourself out there and make an offer. You have to make an offer. If you don't tell someone, like, and the thing that sometimes I think holds a lot of entrepreneurs back is the idea that someone's going to say no, right? That they're not going to buy. What if I'm not offering what someone needs? So I usually flip that around and I say, well, by not making the offer, by not sharing your unique brilliance, by not putting it out there, there is someone out there that does need it, and you kept it from them.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I love that perception shift. I want to add to it too, because the other thing is that as you go along in the entrepreneurial journey, you're going to actually see no's as a blessing. Like, you know what? Every time I get a no, I'm like, thank you. Thank you for saying no and telling me that you're not interested. Now I can move on. Now I can move on to the yes. And it really is as simple as a no is a gift as well as a yes is a gift.
Oh, and it is, because all that means is not right now. Right? Not. In fact, someone had once said that NO means next opportunity.
Yes.
Right?
I like that.
So sometimes that no is put in place because the very next day something comes along that was a different opportunity that was the right fit and the right opportunity for you. So, it's funny because I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a huge woo-woo kind of person, which is funny because I'm actually pretty intuitive. And I mean, I think I straddle the fence, I think. But
Yeah.
What's funny is I would never have considered myself very, just the idea that put yourself out there, the law of attraction, right? Which I firmly believe in, but even just putting yourself out there and taking that step, that forward motion, that's what I talk about, that consistency, but taking that step is telling others, if you don't like the idea of telling the universe, then you're making a statement, you're telling others that this is the step I'm taking, and that attracts others to you. When you just said that people don't have a marketing plan and that they're waiting for people to come to them, they can't do that if they're not attracted to you.
Yeah.
Right. So, the idea of, I shared last night the idea of like when you're single and you're not happy, that you're not really attracting, you're not taking care of yourself, you're not attracting people that want to date you. But as soon as you kind of are confident and you're happy and, you have yourself together, all of a sudden you've got like 3 knocks on the door and you've got dates.
Yeah. Beating them off with a stick at that point, right?
Right. And it just happens that way. But your clientele is the same way. As soon as you kind of start to put yourself out there and realize that you are an expert at what you do, and you speak it with that confidence, people will come to you.
Yeah, I love that. And to add to that, the more that you're yourself, the more you're going to attract those people you absolutely want to work with.
Oh my gosh, so true. Oh my gosh, we have too many things that we're like hitting the nail on the head, because when you unfortunately, and I think we all fall into this trap, is the idea of comparing ourselves to others and comparing ourselves to other entrepreneurs. And it's difficult to do. We all do it. Or we all get down on ourselves like, well, so-and-so did that, and, I should have done that. Or I feel like I should be at a different point, because obviously they're doing something that seems really awesome. And, Catherine likes to say that, I'm gonna butcher this quote, that my highlight reel is not the same as behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right. So as an entrepreneur, of course, we're sharing our good stuff with you.
Yeah.
We want to inspire you, but that doesn't mean that behind the scenes sometimes is really crazy, crappy, and overwhelming. And we struggle and compare ourselves to others just as much as anybody else. So I really love that analogy, because it's so true. A highlight reel is nothing whatsoever to do with behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I think just opening up the space too, where you're saying it is overwhelming for me. And here's, what I like to do is, like, if I'm in the overwhelm, like if I'm there in hot mess, right? I'm a hot mess sometimes. Sometimes, like, what a perfect example is yesterday. I could not get people to stop calling me, and I had a webinar to complete. Couldn't stop. Everybody was calling me. I'm like, what is going on? I'm getting calls from people I haven't heard from in months, and they want something. I'm like, I can't today. And I was a hot mess, and I'm through it. I feel really good right now because the webinar is done. It's ready. It's going to go out to everybody here soon. But that was not the case yesterday. So if I was to talk about that hot mess subject yesterday, it just would not have even attracted anybody. Just like, oh, I don't want to do a webinar.
Right.
But today I can say, I'm like, what, it happens. And I finally turned off my phone at 2 p.m. yesterday, and I got it done. And it absolutely could get done. I made it just my own. I was able to concentrate, and now it's out, and I'm really proud of it. So
yeah.
It's important to hear both sides, I think.
Yeah, it is. And I think it is important to understand that there's two sides, right? So, but understanding who you are is super, super key to. It's one of the steps I take in the helping my clients become more efficient with their time. Is understanding yourself. It's usually one of the biggest things that people overlook. They don't take the time to really know why they themselves play such a factor in how they use their time and how they use their time efficiently. It's such a hot, important topic to me that I created an entire workshop just for nothing but understanding your unique brilliance. Like, that's it. Because you have to you have to know what is it that makes you tick, and you have to know what is it, not so much, because people always talk about the ideal client. They always talk about the outward exterior facing other people, but like, you need to know what you are, because that's going to drive so much of how you use your time and what you want to focus on. The one thing I share with people too is, as an entrepreneur, and starting out, it's, you don't make enough money to necessarily outsource or to delegate or to have a team. But that means you have to pick and choose what you work on. And in order, because otherwise what you do is you do what I did, which is wear every single hat in your business, completely burn out, go through a divorce, go through that hot mess, and still not get your stuff together. So when you realize that you can't do everything, you have to learn, how do I know which things to pick and choose? That's the next thing, right? Well, how do I know what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah.
So, when there's so many ways to get out there, like we were talking last night about speaking and doing, like, I like to speak. I like to get out there. I do meetup groups. I like to get out there and speak. I'm doing a podcast interview with you right now. And other people don't like to speak. Now, they might think they should, but that doesn't mean it should be on your list, right? If you want to find people by getting out there on Facebook, as an example, then by all means, use that as your avenue to get out there. Everybody's different. So you have to really know yourself in order to know how you should spend your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And to touch upon like knowing yourself and then, finding out who is your dream client, who's your ideal client, I like to say that 90% of the time your ideal client is a version of you or a past version of you.
Yep.
And that's why it's so important to really do that inward look, like, how do I tick, so that you can relate better to an ideal client. If you know who you are, you can relate to them. And if you can relate to them, you can speak to them and you can show up for them in a way that otherwise you wouldn't. And you'd be giving mixed signals, or
that's right,
your verbiage would be off, or you just
it's
be
so
attracting
true.
a whole bunch of different people. I'm just like, oh, I don't want to work with these people. These aren't my peeps.
Right.
So,
yeah. It's so true.
Yeah. It does. It starts with you. It absolutely starts with you. I love that you spoke to that. And looking at the time, we were going to talk about more, but I think we hit some really good conversation points. So I want to make sure I'm leaving space for you to talk about your fabulous offer for the audience.
Yeah, I wanted to, oops, hang on one second.
Sure.
I got to stop this. There we go. I was going to go and make sure I have the URL in front of me. So I have, over time, I put together several different gifts that I have used when I speak, at interviews, wherever the case, and I've decided to bundle them all up. So, specifically, if you struggle with the efficiency of your time, if you struggle with the ability to make consistent income, that consistent action again, as well as being happy as you build your business. A lot of people don't understand that you can actually make it part of your standard operating procedures to increase your happiness every day while you build your business. So the habits are the secret sauce. And so what they're getting is, I think it's 6 of my gifts that I have generally in the past given away individually, and I'm giving them as your ultimate habits bundle for time, money, and happiness.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. One of them, the big one, I love this one, is called Brain Bliss Activation, and it's how to be happier in 5 minutes a day.
Oh, everyone has 5 minutes.
5 minutes. That's right. Everybody has 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
okay, let me see. What's the URL for this?
The URL is happinessmatters.com/habit bundle funnel.
Awesome. Okay, guys, and just so you know, it will be on Jennifer's show notes page too. So listen for the end of this podcast, and you'll get redirected to where you can get on the show notes page and grab that too. Or you can just rewind this and write it down and go to the URL. That works too. Oh, thank you so much, Jennifer. That's an amazing gift. We really appreciate you giving that.
Oh, you're so welcome. And like I said, I really hope everyone, even if they use one of the 6 gifts, that's the important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to sign up myself because I want that 5 minutes a day. I have to have fun in my day, or it's just like, I have to have fun. If it's not fun, then I don't want to do it. And that doesn't really equal like every day is that way, because sometimes I get sick and I get the flu because I have kids, and that's not a fun day. But
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
yeah. But for the entrepreneurial journey, for the most part, I'd say every single day I have some fun.
Good. Yeah. Everybody should strive for that. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. So I want to just go ahead and open up the last couple minutes for anything that you would like to share, anything you'd like to leave us with today.
Well, I think that if, like I said, I don't want to add to anyone's overwhelm, so that's why I generally, I do suggest, to ask yourself which area you most specifically are struggling with. In fact, when your listeners do opt in to get the habit bundle, they will be asked that question. They're going to be asked, are you struggling most with, time efficiency, focusing on the tasks that make you money, or adding that element of happiness into your day? Because that's going to direct them into which of the gifts they should start with. So that way they don't become overwhelmed, and so I'm going to help them not do that.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And any projects that you're up to next? What's on
yeah,
the board for you next?
I have so many things coming up, actually. I use, again, we talk about the habits. I have, when is this, by the way, I don't even know, when is this airing?
This is going to air here in January. Yeah.
Okay, good. Awesome. So if your listeners are interested, I am hosting my Unique Brilliance Blueprint Workshop February 2nd. Nice. And so if they want to, reach out to me, I'm sure you're going to have my information there so they can reach out to me. They can get in on that. And it's not a big investment. This year I'm doing something very special, very different. You're going to be able to reserve a seat to take the workshop for as little as $1.
Wow. Oh, so that's amazing. Yeah. Well, if you want, we can put that link in your bio on the show notes page. So again, guys, if you're interested in this, go to the show notes page and we'll have that information for you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danielle.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's spread the happiness and the time and all that good stuff. So
yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Jennifer. Well, we really appreciate you coming on and sharing all of the value and expertise that you have. And of course, your story. Love those entrepreneurial stories. So I know it just has a huge trickling effect when we share that way. So thank you so much for you coming on and being you and sharing so authentically.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Bye, everyone. We'll be on with another episode of Light at the End of the Funnel next week. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Light at the End of the Funnel. Me and my amazing experts have provided you with so much valuable information. And to take it that next step, I'd love for you to go over to the show notes page at bit.ly/endoffunnel. That is bit.ly/endoffunnel, where you can receive free gifts from both me and my amazing experts. Thank you so much.